Hi everyone, it's GentleBen here. I am attempting the Kerbal Space Program Weekly Challenge, week 124, free ride. So the challenge for this is to make it to the moon and back on a free return trajectory. So after I leave Kerbal, the idea is to ditch all my engines, coast around the moon and land back on the planet Kerbin. So I'm going to get straight into building. So this was my first launch in the challenge. This was originally just going to be a out and back test of the crew capsule on the top, just to make sure that it was going to come in for re-entry at high delta V. So nice little rocket, one small centre engine, three larger higher thrust output engines on the side, on drop tanks, so drop those when you get through all the fuel. The rules of this challenge say that I need to have ditched all my engines by the time I'm at 250 kilometers and no using RCS after that. So I just really wanted to make sure that my crew capsule was going to survive re-entry. As I was doing this test, I found that I had quite a lot spare fuel, plenty of spare delta V to get out to the moon on my free return. So I plotted in a course, lined it up, and burnt to try and get to the moon just since I'm up here. Unfortunately, I found that the engine on the back was just far too pathetic to get me anywhere close to the moon before I was starting to fall back into the atmosphere. So that was a revert flight, back to the drawing board, stick on a bigger engine, try it again. So this is launch number 2. For this one I was just going to see if I could get direct to the moon without trying a return, without testing out the crew capsule. Notice new larger rocket in the centre. This is going to give me extra thrust, more power. You can see heating effects, the result of the more power without any more care being taken. So I'm just doing the usual, plot out my manoeuvre node, try and get this nice for a return into the atmosphere. So, considering this is my second attempt, this actually went fairly well. Although there was one major flaw, and I forgot to put a decoupler on my capsule. So I had no way of jettisoning my engine, which the requirement is to jettison your engine before returning, just to make sure you don't cheat and use it at all. So I kind of failed this and went down, redesigned, stuck a decoupler on and had another go. So this is launch number 3. This now has a decoupler added to it. The only thing I didn't realise is the decoupler seems to change the rocket in terms of either aerodynamics or mass distribution, and makes it a little bit more difficult to control at higher speeds. So lose control, I just go straight for revert back to launch, give it another go and try and take off again with a more gradual ascent vector. And this also doesn't work. I lose control again, so there's something funny going on. I'll go back in, redesign, see what. So this is launch number 5, and I stuck some fins, some wingtips onto the body of the rocket. Only problem was I didn't pay careful attention to where I was placing them, so when I decoupled I had a staging mishap. So I was getting a bit fed up by this point. I couldn't make a rocket that was getting to the moon. I could barely even get one to leave the atmosphere. about half the rockets I've had up to this point have failed before leaving the atmosphere. Just so irritating. But I got this one up. This one was going pretty well. I managed to ditch my first stage. It's all looking fantastic. I was a little bit offline, but got my launch tidied up while still in the atmosphere, set myself up with my manoeuvre, and did my burn to try and get to the moon. So here we go, just tweaking everything slightly. I had a predicted periapse that was going to be captured by the atmosphere, or so I thought, till I saw this map. And also on this map, I noticed my periapse for the moon was a little bit low. Only a few hundred metres, but I thought, why not? Let's just ride it in. I managed to make it to the moon. I'm at least gonna touch the surface. And here he comes, and Jeb touches the surface of the moon. Well done, Jeb. Just another launch now, another failed attempt. Basically all that happens is, I go up, all looks good, but I can't get an encounter with the moon and a return angle. So I'm thinking at this point I need to shake things up a bit, maybe try a slightly different design, maybe wait a bit of time for the moon to travel before I actually launch my rocket, get it into a slightly better place. This is the newly designed rocket. It's not very pretty, it's not very aerodynamic, but it gets the job done. It gets me up into space. This is my successful run. Spoilers, spoilers. So this is the run that I actually make it on normal mode, normal difficulty. Get up a bit of altitude, use up my solid rockets, use up my liquid fuel as well, nice and early, and then I've just got the central pod that will be performing the manoeuvre. So I've left the entire sequence in here, just so that everyone can see there's no shenanigans, no cheating going on. I'm doing everything as I should be. Now I did have one mistake in here, because that's what I seem to be doing on this task. I forgot to include a decoupler on the main body of the rocket, on the capsule, so I'm kind of stuck with this engine on the back. Now, I know the rules say you have to ditch your engines, but I couldn't, so I just deactivated it, and you as the viewer will have to decide if that's allowed or not. I say it is, but what do I know? So I had a little physics glitch there with the time warp. I took it back, I quick loaded back to when I was close to Kerbin, and ran it forward again. Didn't use the time warp at full speed this time, which, yeah, should never ever do that. And this time everything went fine, no problems at all. Came in nice and close to the moon. There we go. Isn't that a lovely close-in orbit? I'm really chuffed with myself for managing to get in that close to the moon. coming back into the atmosphere now. Because I've still got all the bits and pieces equipped, everything's still attached. Engine bay, there we go, to protect the parachutes. I kind of want the engine to burn off, and the fuel tanks. I do have a heat shield hidden under there. So as soon as we lose the other parts, we get some use out of it. There we go. This is what I wanted to bring back. Just a capsule and a heat shield. And there we go. We are through the worst of the atmosphere. I've got an excessive number of chutes, a drogue chute and 2 radial. So that should be nice and easy to touch down. And there we go. Splashdown back on the planet Kerbal. Well done, Jeb. Anyway, I quite enjoyed that, as frustrating as it was. I think I'm going to try another one though. I'll dip back into the archives and find one of the old Reddit challenges. Until then, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'm Gentle Ben. Goodbye.